Hi, is all. I hope you all had a lovely crimbo. You had some nice food and drink and enjoyed yourself. And we now enter into peculiar time between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. A time of when people tend to get very introspective, where often they remember loved ones that are gone. A lot of people, unfortunately, get depressed around this time. The most admissions to battered women's shelters happens at this time. There's two ways of looking at that. So much for the season of goodwill, but also they've escaped their abusive partners. See, shadow is a liberating thing as well. And so I want to talk about the need, this mystery. This is a when you think about it, this is a period of mystery. We ponder the mysteries of ourselves. We ponder the mysteries of life. If we're not standing online at 6 a.m. on St. Stephen's Day or Boxing Day, as they call it in England, for the shopping malls to open to get 50% off a pair of shoes you don't need, like as going around, that was happening in this country yesterday. It's also a very interesting time this year that we had a tremendous eclipse across the mostly South Asia. Phenomenal photographs and videos, including one that showed the ring of fire, and the effect that it left was the Maltese cross in the middle of where the moon is, and it just was remarkable considering the esoteric nature of that Maltese cross shape and its power. How it was. It's also been shown to that some subatomic particles have that shape, the Maltese cross, and also the famous Crookes tube, where the very first TV signal ever transmitted was the Maltese cross. People say, well, the Knights of St. John, but the Knights of St. John only have it for now. They have jurisdiction over it for now on a popular sense, but it just shows that when the eclipse happened, the mysterium unfolded. And this is what makes life worth living, the concept of the mystery. You see people who don't believe in anything being mysterious or magical or paranormal or Fortean, like some of these hardcore atheist types. They're desperately unhappy people. They're unhappy because they've reduced reality to a binary process of zeros and ones. Something either is or isn't, and there's no sense of a sine wave, where on the attack and decay of the sine wave, the mystery is there. But you also see that kind of like black and white thinking with flat earthers, and this is why they can't give straight answers when you ask them straight questions. It's all, here's a 50-minute video or emotional music or something like that, or memes that they don't fully understand what they're talking about. And that's black and white thinking. You're getting born again Christianity. One of the great disasters when we lost paganism was this belief of the sacred mysteries. Although Catholics to a certain extent did continue this on, as Catholicism is paganism. But like, you look at the Catholic Mass, for instance, like that's a classic. That's directly from Greek and Roman mystery plays. The priest does not address the audience. He does not look at them. He looks past them. And they see that within the great Greek theatrical plays of the classical period, you would have them in those amphitheaters. And if you ever seen those things reenacted, they're like nothing you've ever seen. They're extremely powerful. You will have the audience. For instance, if you have a character, if someone asks a certain character what has happened, rather than the female lead or the character who's playing, who's doing the response, rather than them approaching up to the character who asked the question, they will turn and face the stage. They will step towards the lighting. Remember, they didn't have spotlighting back then. They had lighting at the front of the stage. Back then, it would have been things like oil lamps. Later, it was on. It became the limelight. So they stepped into the limelight or the candlelight back then, and addressed over the audience. They would say, Ophidius, he has stepped into shadow side, and they would do it in that kind of way. And then they would refrain back, and they would fall back into the darkness at the rear of the stage. And the characters would be always dressed in white and would be positioned around the stage. It's just fantastic at different places, and their prominence within the performance was determined not by, say, the lights coming on this side, but by stepping forward and stepping back. They would they would enter from the mysterium, from the mystery. And it was very much, they didn't say, it was very much in metaphorical language. So you have that, like, for instance, the Catholic Mass, take this, all of you, and eat from it. This is my body. Now that would say, is that cannibalism? No, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for incorporating the Corpus Christi. And this directly comes from the Greek mystery schools. The idea of that it's everything is metaphor rather than it being literal and factual. And this is why you have this strange world we have today where people demand everything be completely factual, binary thinking, and the sine wave is missing. And this is why you have people committing suicide in large numbers around this period, because they can't make sense of life. So they turn to things like drugs and alcohol and suicide, families break up and so on, because they're not imparted with the mysterium. Like I said, the Presbyterian Samhain is Christmas. They would read ghost stories and so on at this time of year. They went into the shadow side. And this is what the purpose of this period between Christmas Day and New Year's Day is, and probably all the way up to 12th night. Now, this is also shows you the power of things like memes. What makes memes so much more powerful is they don't address you directly. Ever notice that? The meme is an allegorical spell that's thrown out there in a form of a commentary, stripped down to minimal amounts of words and text and pictures, and then you extrapolate the conclusion in your own mind. And this is why all these snowflakes and SJWs are terrified of memes and can't do them, because again, the binary thinking and the element of the mysterium. Now, this is the keys to salvation. You hear a lot about these people who are woke up and I'm awake now, and I'm awake and I see the system. And then they'll post a picture of that famous statue of Cronus in Switzerland eating the babies. And it's like, oh, satanic pedophiles. And it's all about the Illuminati. And they're all programmed. And the real meaning of that statue is actually quite beautiful. Cronus, the god of time, also Saturn, is devouring children to remind you that from the moment you are born to the moment you die, you must live your life completely. You must live your life and cherish every second and enjoy it, because Cronus will eventually eat you. The moment you are born, you will be harvested by Saturn's scythe. And that's a beautiful, liberating thing. And that's how, within the mystery tradition, that would be viewed, where since the Abrahamic consciousness, the numbnuts today would look at that and say, oh, that's the Illuminati talking about eating babies and satanic pedophiles. That is the low-level uncoupling. And that's what I think we're dealing with here. When you so-called wake up, you are uncoupled from the mainstream. So you're not waiting for an iPhone anymore. You don't care about politics that beyond reading the psychic weather of it. You're fully aware. Like, I see people still today posting these stupid memes. If you voted Tory, get the fuck off, my friends. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, the Labour Party gives a shit about you, and you're still buying into the whole thing. No, you see like, you know that famous Lord Kitchener poster where he's pointing from World War One. Your country needs you, and there's also the Uncle Sam going, America needs you to fight at the front line, that kind of thing. And that's not a meme. That's an order. Where a meme is powerful because it doesn't make a direct statement. You are allowed to use your intellect to fulfill the process. And this is what this time of year is about. This is the indulgence of mystery at this time. You've had your Christmas dinner. You've had all your feeds. You've now sitting around. It's a bit boring. Some people just medicate themselves with things like stupid things like shopping. But this is the ideal time of year to go for long walks in the countryside and to become the hermit card and go deep within in order to be reborn for in bulk. And so this is a thing, this is why memes and work is because they're a modern day version of the Greek mystery play, done in the form of cards, not addressed to the audience, addressed to out there for the individual psyche to process. So turn this period between Christmas Day and New Year's Day into the Greek mystery play of your own life. Go out there for long walks in the countryside or along the beach and go within and fall into shadow side. Look after yourselves.